Welcome back to Crunch Time, a panel discussion about your favorite topic, sports.
Drew Brees is not a top 10 quarterback in NFL history. It's simple as that.
How do you say that? Drew Brees, you cannot argue with stats.
And I know for a fact it's going to be the best team in the East. It is the Toronto Raptors because of who? Kawhi Leonard.
I'm going to talk about another team that I want to be a Cinderella story so bad, and that's UCF. I talked about it earlier. They're ranked 12th in the nation. They beat Auburn last year in their bowl game.
It's Crunch Time.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Crunch Time, a panel discussion where we talk about your favorite topic, sports. I'm your host, Sam Getzinger, and next to me is Blake Tyson. In the middle here, we have Nick Speliopoulos, and all the way down at the end is Alex Cotter. How you guys doing today?
Pretty good.
Ready to talk about some sports?
Absolutely.
All right, cool. Let's get started right away, guys. And love is in the air. And I loved what happened at the trade deadline in the NBA. It has come and gone this season, and we saw a couple of key shakeups throughout the league. Tobias Harris moves over to Philly. Marc Gasol is in Toronto. Anthony Davis is still with the Pelicans in New Orleans. But fellas, who won and lost the trade deadline? Blake, we're going to start with you.
Well, your winner is the team that gave away a piece and didn't really get anything back besides a ton of cap space, and that's the New York Knicks, because they now have 2 max slots this summer in free agency. Ability to get Kevin Durant, who just moved his offices for his private business to New York, and then enough cap space to sign whoever he wants as his sidekick. And to me, that is a big move. That's a big winner. You got rid of the bad Tim Hardaway Jr. contract. You picked up a couple first-round draft picks a few years from now, and you're not locking yourselves into Kristaps Porzingis on a max deal coming off of an ACL injury.
Nick, we're going to go with you now.
I think it's the same scenario, but you switch it over to the Western Conference. My winner is the Los Angeles Clippers. Even though they got rid of Bobby and Toby, the duo, sent them to the 76ers. They also freed up space to get 2 max super contracts for superstars in the offseason, and they're really trying hard to get Kawhi Leonard out of Toronto, and it gives them the ability with 2 first-round draft picks as well from the 76ers to do a lot of good things in the West.
Good points there, Kyle.
I like both of you guys' statements, but how about a loser? The Pelicans. They have to deal with more Anthony Davis drama that they're going to have to deal with in the summer. And, I mean, I get it. Like, they have to wait. They need draft picks, but they could have gotten a whole host of players. And for a team that, needs a lot of tools and they couldn't put those weapons around Anthony Davis, they need to make a move fast, and I guess now it's going to have to wait till the offseason.
I agree with you saying that the Pelicans never put any tools around Anthony Davis. I mean, that's just right. You wasted, this is 8th year, 8 years of his career. But
one of the best
I
centers
do
in the
disagree
league.
with you that they should have made a move. I think, and we'll get into that more later on, but I do think that waiting it out is better for them.
All right, well, good points there by all of you guys. I'm going to actually give this point to Blake. I do like what he brought up about the Mavs. I do think they had a great job in this trade deadline. But with that being said, let's hop into our next topic, and let's turn our attention specifically over to the Eastern Conference in the NBA. And just a reminder for you guys, this is the Big Crunch, and the Milwaukee Bucks are sitting atop the East, making a couple of moves at the deadline, getting rid of Thon Maker, but not far behind them are the Raptors, who just acquired Marc Gasol, and the Pacers are in 3rd place, but they're without Victor Oladipo for the rest of the season. So guys, who is your favorite to win the East this season? Nick, we'll start with you.
When you kind of touched on it in your intro, the Pacers are, in my book, out just because they don't have Victor Oladipo anymore, and just because the Raptors added Marc Gasol. I don't think that's enough to get them to the NBA Finals out of the Eastern Conference. It is the Milwaukee Bucks. They're number 1 in the East with points per game, blocks per game, and field goal percentage. They're number 1 in the NBA with rebound percentage, and that is because, and I'm going to say it right now, Giannis Antetokounmpo will be the 2018-2019 NBA MVP. And they added Nikola Mirotic, who averages 16 points and 8 rebounds a game. This team did what it takes to get what they needed at the deadline to push them to the NBA Finals.
Alex?
I agree with you a little bit, but here's where I think the Raptors have the edge. They have very veteran players who know how to win. They got Kyle Lowry, they got Kawhi Leonard, they got Marc Gasol. They're matured, they're veteran. They don't have the LeBron kryptonite anymore, and they're ready to prove something.
Blake, what do you have to say?
Well, I'll let you get onto what you wanted to say. Hold that thought. I'm going to go with the Sixers because I think that they added not the best player available, because that would have been Anthony Davis, but one of the best pieces available, and I think Tobias Harris fits in really well with them, adds a little bit of three-point shooting. I know there will be some chemistry issues just like there was when Jimmy Butler arrived.
Yep.
But I think that if they get the chemistry together and if they can, become a cohesive unit, I don't think there's any roster more talented than them in the Eastern Conference.
I don't think they're mature enough yet to win.
Those are my concerns, is because the maturity in the chemistry. I just don't know with Simmons and especially Embiid concerns me, but I do like the talent that's
Together,
there.
they do average 21 points a game, all four of them combined, which is a big upside. But yeah, I don't think they're mature enough yet.
I still can't believe that you said that the Toronto Raptors know how to win. Yes, they have Kawhi Leonard, who has won multiple NBA Finals, and he's won a Finals MVP, but you cannot tell me that Kyle Lowry is a winner. It's just not true. I don't care that LeBron's in the East or the West. They're not going to make it to the Finals, and you can't tell me that Kyle Lowry's a winner. It was all DeMar DeRozan anyways in the playoffs.
They have experience of being in the playoffs. They get there. They get a high seed. They have something to prove this year. They don't have to worry about LeBron. This is their year to prove that, hey, we should be the best team. We don't have LeBron. That was their biggest thing, and I feel like they are the favorite in the East.
So you're going to tell me that you're going to take, if it all boiled down to it, you're going to tell me that you're going to take Kawhi Leonard over Giannis Antetokounmpo. Say that with confidence.
It's not one person or the other. I like their team better than I do the Bucks. I feel like they got more stars.
I agree with you there too. I think Giannis is probably the most physically gifted player in the NBA, and he's ridiculously good. And I think Mirotic was a good add, but as far as a combined talent, that's like why I picked the Sixers, and I think
all right, guys,
why
I'm
you're
going to
talking
cut you
about
off
the
here.
Raptors.
That's all the time we had there for the big crunch topic. I'm actually going to give this one to Nick. I do agree. I like experience over talent. But with Nick, I don't feel like Kyle Lowry and a lot of the guys in the Raptors are just truly winners right now. So moving on over to our next topic. Keeping it in the NBA, we still have the All-Star break quickly approaching. The Celebrity Game starts things off tomorrow, and then we have the Rising Star Challenge following that. And then Saturday, it's when the big guys come out with the three-point contest, the dunk contest, and the All-Star Game. But we're at the halfway mark here at the association. I want you guys to tell me, what are some bold predictions for the NBA coming up in the second half? Alex, start it off.
Mine's not necessarily about the second half. It's more what happens right after the finals ends. Is that Kyrie Irving will not be a Celtic anymore. That this team, and it's proven in the statistics that they operate better when Kyrie is not there, and. Kyrie, I don't think Kyrie wants to be there anymore. I really see him going to the Knicks because they got a lot of cap space. They can pay him, and I don't see him being a Celtic anymore.
Blake?
Well, I got two of them here for you. The first one, which I don't know if it's as bold as my second one, but my first one, the Lakers are going to miss the playoffs. LeBron James will miss the playoffs for the first time since his second year in the NBA, and a lot of that is because that locker room is in shambles right now. My second one, which I think gets real bold, Bradley Beal will lead the Washington Wizards to the playoffs. They are only 3 games out, and they just lost John Wall for the season and traded Otto Porter Jr. But Bradley Beal is averaging 25 points, and you asked for bold. And Bobby Portis has averaged 19 points in the 4 games since he was acquired. And Trevor Ariza, with the trade to Otto Porter, can step into a bigger role.
Nick, let's have you chime in here.
I have to go against you. According to ESPN today, the Lakers have a 6.5% chance to make the playoffs, so that's not really a bold. And you mentioned it wasn't bold, but I think that the Lakers will make it to the playoffs because they have missed players for so many games. They missed Lonzo Ball for 10, Ingram for 11, LeBron for 18, and Rondo for 34. And if you combine all their stats together, and I know they weren't all missing at the same time, but that's 63 points per game, 24 rebounds, and 24 assists per game. And those are all key players that play a factor in the Lakers' success. And you guys, it's LeBron James. I'm not saying he's the best player in the NBA, in the history of the NBA, but it's LeBron James, and he could take a team into the playoffs. By no means am I saying they're going to make a deep run or make the NBA Finals, but it's LeBron James.
I still think LeBron looks a little hampered from his injury. That's all I
think it's a little. I think it's too little, too late. I think they would have to go like 15-6 or 16-5 for them to make playoffs. I think at best they could do a 7 seed.
Guys, that's all the
I
time we
don't
have
think they
here
will
for
yet.
this topic. And after the first set of topics here on Crunch Time, I'm actually going to give that point over to Alex as well. So we'll take a break. We'll be right back with Crunch Time in just a little bit. Welcome back into Crunch Time. Before we get back into some more topics, let's give you a little bit of a scoring update. Blake is sitting tied to last place with Alex at 1 point, and then Nick is currently in the lead with 2 points as well. But with that being said, let's hop into our next set of topics, and we'll give you one more basketball topic for you guys, and it's a big one as Anthony Davis is staying put in the land of the Pelicans, pursuing a deal after the season. Is this a good move to turn the Lakers' final offer, turn down the Lakers' final offer, or do they wait till the end of the season? What do you guys think? Blake, start us off.
I think it was smart to wait, like I kind of talked about earlier. It just, the Celtics can get involved this summer, and I know like his dad doesn't want him to go there, but who has the control here? The Pelicans have the control, so it doesn't matter, I mean, really what anybody else says besides the Pelicans. I think it's smart to get a bidding war, and like we talked about, the Knicks getting cap space, the Clippers having cap space. There's all these teams with cap space now that can move assets as well once, you hit the summer and free agency. So I think it was just smart to wait it out, and the end goal apparently for the Pelicans is that they want an all-star, like superstar caliber player, which I don't know. I mean, those Lakers pieces are nice pieces, but I'm not quite sure.
I'm going to give you a chance to talk here.
This is an absolutely shameful request by Anthony Davis. He still has another year on his contract, so this just doesn't make sense in general. But it's not only on Anthony Davis, this whole mess of a situation. It also falls on the Pelicans organization. They turned down 4 first-round picks, Lonzo Ball, Kyle Kuzma, and Brandon Ingram. And I know Kuz was a second-round pick, but you could argue that he should have been a first-round pick. The Pelicans turned down, at the end of the day, 7 first-round picks.
I'm going to cut you off there, Nick. Alex?
I will say, the Pelicans, it's probably best that they did wait because they can wait until draft picks come out and they can figure out where those picks lie. But with the team one of the 4 teams that Giannis mentioned was the Milwaukee Bucks, I think he should go there. He gets to play with one of the biggest physical specimens in Giannis Antetokounmpo. If you were to go to LA either with the Lakers or LeBron, there's a lot of drama surrounding that, and LeBron needs shooters. The Clippers, they don't have a solid number 2 for Anthony Davis.
Not yet.
And not yet, agreed. But the Knicks right now are just a train wreck. So, but they do have the cap space. But right now, as a franchise, they're a train wreck. So why wouldn't you want to go to a contender if you want to win now?
I mean, that's a good point, but I don't know. What do the Pelicans have up for assets that they can give up that's going to be equal to Anthony Davis? Because, like I said, the end goal for the Pelicans here is to land an all-star, superstar, potential player.
I'm going to cut you guys off for this topic here. A lot of great points between all 3 of you. I'm going to give this one to Blake. I thought it was a good move by New Orleans to keep Anthony Davis, and what that did, it kind of shook up a lot of the teams and gave them some bad turmoil here coming into the All-Star break as well. But going into our next topic, we'll stray away from the basketball as Kyler Murray announced that he's declaring for the NFL draft and for now opting for football instead of baseball. The 2018 Heisman winner had a spectacular season at Oklahoma as Baker Mayfield's predecessor. Murray is being eyed as a possible first-round pick as well. Is this a good move by Murray to be a QB instead of playing baseball, considering he was the 7th overall pick to the Oakland A's? Nick, start us off.
I don't agree with what Kyle Murray said in any way, shape, or form. Physically, I don't think Kyler Murray is meant to be an NFL quarterback in terms of his size and his stature. And yeah, he can work out, but it doesn't improve his height. I think he should have stuck with the Oakland A's for more than just the money reasons. Kyler Murray is the number 4 prospect in that organization. He's the first position player, not a pitcher or a catcher, to have that honor, and he was set up to be potentially the face of the franchise for a struggling baseball team in the AL West, and now he's trying to be this superstar quarterback, and it's tough because this year there's not a strong quarterback.
Nick, I'm going to cut you off. Alex?
And I would have chosen baseball personally because there's more money. It is a longer road to success, but when you're done with your career, your brains aren't as scrambled, let's be honest. But I don't mind his decision to play football. And you talk about his height, over 60% of plays in the NFL are from shotgun now. It gives you a lot better vision of the field, and he's fast, he's smart. You give him a good offensive line, he can get the job done. He's got the skill set for it.
Blake?
Yeah, I agree a lot with what Alex said. I mean, to Nick's point about the height, I mean, Russell Wilson isn't very tall. Dak Prescott's not the tallest. I mean, there's short quarterbacks. Drew Brees is not that tall. I mean, there's short quarterbacks in the league. He does have a slight frame, like he's thin, but as far as his height, I think he'll be fine. I mean, there's ways to work around that, like you brought up. A lot of the plays now being run on the shotgun. And as far as like the injury concerns, being in the NFL and taking hits, I mean, the NFL is doing more and more every year to protect its quarterbacks. And I think that for Kyler Murray, I mean, he just has all the control in this situation.
Sure. And you're right, he does have all the control, but I still don't know if he made the right decision. Like, I don't care that he won an award for being the best college football player, and he didn't win an award for being the best college baseball player. Kyler Murray should have stuck with baseball, and that's all.
But he wasn't that good at baseball. I mean, he wasn't any like
Would
transcendent.
you,
college
would
player.
you rather go
He
to
hit
a, would you rather go to a
300
TV
with
market
10
that's
RBIs.
dominated by the Giants, or possibly go to a bigger?
He struck out in a third of his at bats.
But the transition from college baseball to the MLB is a lot different, and as Alex mentioned, a lot longer than being a college quarterback.
Guys,
to
I'm going to cut you off here. A lot of great points there, but I'm going to go with Nick because I do agree that Kyler Murray should be sticking to the MLB, and I just don't know if he'll be a great quarterback in the NFL. But moving over to the Diamond now, with teams reporting to spring training in less than a couple of weeks, there are still a few colossal free agents on the market. Bryce Harper, Manny Machado, Craig Kimbrell, as well as others remain unsigned. What do you guys think is the strategy for these big names, and where do you think they'll go? We'll start off with Alex.
You know, I think the team that you want to go to right now is the Phillies. I mean, they got Gene Segura, they got David Robertson, Andrew McCutchen. Right now, this team is playoff ready, and they're playoff contenders. If you add a guy like Bryce Harper or Manny Machado, they're World Series contenders. I feel like they got, they'll have to compete with the Braves in the East, but I feel like I feel like that they can make a big push. You talk about Harper possibly talking the Padres. You know, they got Eric Hosmer, Will Myers. But
I'm going to cut you off there, Alex. Blake?
I mean, to me, none of these dominoes have fallen yet, and it's almost like they're playing a game of chicken to see who's going to sign first. I mean, Machado said he's going to decide by New Year's Day. Obviously hasn't yet. He is taking a second meeting with the Padres. It was just announced today. So I think Machado to the Padres maybe has some steam, but I don't get why nobody signs. I mean, that's my one issue with baseball free agency. It's like, what are you guys waiting for? And to me, I don't think Harper, he's a good player, but I feel like he's more of like a flashy, in-your-face type player. Like he's like a Blake Griffin.
I'm going to cut you off there, Blake. Nick, go ahead.
It's tough to sit here and say that Bryce Harper, Manny Machado, Craig Kimbrell, and the list it doesn't end there, that these players have not been signed, and pitchers and catchers are reporting now, and the position players are soon to report for full squad workouts. And overall, it's just a bad look for the MLB. And here's a crazy thing. Manny Machado has officially been a free agent longer than he has been or had been a Los Angeles Dodger. So that just kind of puts it into perspective for how long this process has been drawn out. And it's tough because people like Bryce Harper and Manny Machado, who think they're owed all this money, there are teams that aren't necessarily willing to pay. And I think that this problem could stretch throughout spring training and could seep in to the first couple of weeks of the regular MLB season.
Yeah, you kind of touched about how these guys like kind of misunderstand their value almost. I mean, Bryce Harper's wanting like the highest contract in baseball history. He's hit over 300 twice in his career. He's not a superstar player. He's a flashy player.
I'm going to cut you guys off on this topic. I'm going to go with Blake. I do think this looks kind of bad on the MLB that some of the top names have not signed yet. And with that being said, we'll go into a break, but then coming up after the break, we'll give you another scoring update, have a couple more topics, and then name the winner here on Crunch Time. Stick around. Welcome back into Crunch Time. Before we get back into our final set of topics, let's give you a little scoring update here. We're tied for the lead between Nick and Blake. They're both sitting at 3, but still in last place. But a couple of topics to get back in here is Alex over at 1 point as well. Now let's hop into our next topic. Let's turn our attention over to the ice now for some hockey. Looking at the Western Conference, everything is pretty tight. Winnipeg is up there. San Jose is right there with them. And the Wild are second in the wild card race in the West. So who do you think is making it? Who do you think is missing it? Blake, we'll start with you.
Like you said, there's a lot of teams there. I mean, it is a logjam in the Western Conference. All the teams in the conference are within 8 points of that final wild card spot. And I think my final 2 teams in are St. Louis and Vancouver. Vancouver's a bold one, but St. Louis has won 7 in a row, 8 of their last 10. Tarasenko's a monster. I mean, he's unreal. Ryan O'Reilly's had a career rejuvenation, putting up 57 points in 53 games. And they've turned the net over to Jordan Binnington, who's got a below a 2 goals against average and a .930 save percentage. So,
Nick, go ahead.
You know, as tough as it is for me to believe it, I mean, this is who I'm going with. I have to stick with the Minnesota Wild. They've been on an absolute downslide right now, but don't let that sway you from the rest of the season. They have 12 of their remaining 25 games at home. They're in the middle of a 4-game homestand right now, and they have a 5-game homestand in the middle of March. That will be able to give them some power, even though they haven't performed great at home of recent. And I think they can get past this Mikko Koivu injury.
So you like the Wild, but Alex, what are you going to say?
But the Minnesota Wild are the only team projected in the playoffs right now with a negative goal differential at -7. And if I was the Wild, I'd be dealing at the trade deadline. They get Eric Stahl, and sorry ladies, but Charlie Coyle might have to go too, and that could take them on, and they can easily get out of the playoff hunt because Vancouver and Arizona are only a few games behind, and the Blues are just above them, and I think it's really up for grabs for those last two spots.
Yeah, I like how you brought up that they should make some moves. Paul Fenton, the GM today, was actually just given permission to do whatever he wants with the team, whether that's buy or sell. But with that news coming through a 1-3-2 stretch, I think it is, I mean, you got to assume that he's going to sell. So,
And I think that everybody, Minnesota sports fans, focus on the negatives. We lost Mikko Koivu, so on and so forth. And I know it's still 4 to 6 weeks out, but Minnesota fans have forgotten the fact that we might get.
I'm going to cut you guys off on this topic. I'm going to give the point over to Alex, but now we're going to switch over to the Eastern Conference. The East is a little more spread out with Tampa at 88 points, but the New York Islanders are leading the Metropolitan with 72 points. Who would have thought? But there's a lot of good teams in the East as well. So once again, who's in and who's out in the East? We'll start it off with Nick.
For the first time in an 11-year streak, the Pittsburgh Penguins will not make the playoffs. It's a crazy bold point. Penguins will not make it, even though they have Sid the Kid, Evan Genie, Malkin. I don't think they're going to be able to do it, and their schedule isn't easy. They have a 3-game road trip coming up in the end of February and a 4-game road trip in the end of March. Buffalo's 2 spots out of that wild card spot. I think that they can do it. They've caught fire in the past, and they definitely have what it takes to get that second wild card.
I think there can be a lot of shuffling. I can see Boston sliding down a wild card spot and seeing Montreal sliding up into that 3 spot. But my bubble teams are Carolina and Buffalo. But out of those teams, Carolina is the most favorable schedule out of the 2. And Sebastian Aho is playing out of his mind. He has 64 points. So I would watch out. I would watch out if I was the Penguins or the Canadiens, because they could easily slide up and take that spot from you.
Blake?
I like Carolina as well. Aho's been great since they acquired Nino Niederreiter from the Wild. They've been 9-1-1, but the team, they're not in right now. So the team that I have falling out for Carolina to get in is the Columbus Blue Jackets, and they fall out because they absolutely have to trade Artemi Panarin because he's already said he's leaving anyway. And maybe even Sergei Bobrovsky and net. You just can't hold on to those pieces, and that's why they have to fall out, because I feel like as the GM there, you have to trade Panarin. There's no point in holding on to him when he can get you back assets. Now, if they move him and maybe acquire somebody else that wants to be there, that can change things. But as it stands now, Panarin is probably going to get traded, and that's going to put them out.
But here's your X factor. You're relying on the fact that Bobrovsky leaves as well, and that would affect. I get the Panarin's a huge part of that team.
Even if Bobrovsky stays, I think that Panarin being gone.
Bobrovsky is a phenomenal goaltender in the Eastern Conference, and just because you might have lost Panarin doesn't mean that your netminder.
Yeah, but they're only in the playoffs by 3 points right now.
That's all the time we have for this topic, guys. I'm going to give this point to Nick, but for right now, we'll throw it into another break. When we come back, we'll let you know who the winner is on Crunch Time. Stick around. Welcome back into Crunch Time. Next to me is our winner of today's episode, Nick Spaliopoulos. Nick, you won with 4 points. Blake had 3 really close behind you, and then Carter was in there with 2 as well. Alex Carter, I should say. But now we're going to give you 1 minute to talk about anything you want. Go ahead.
So for the final minute of tonight's show, I'm going to talk about one of my favorite college basketball teams, and that would be the Nebraska Cornhuskers. They ended a 7-game losing streak at home against the Minnesota Golden Gophers. And it was a tough-fought game. The game ended 62-61. I know there's a lot of controversy in that final call that put Jesse Palmer Jr. at the line to hit those 2 free throws to win the game. But, it's never fun as a fan to see your team go on such a skid who had high promises or high expectations going into the season. And to win that game meant a lot for me. I can joke around with my roommates about it. But no, it was a fun game to watch. And
how are they going to do in the Big Ten tournament, and are they going to go to March Madness or not?
It's tough right now because Nebraska's sitting under that line to make it to the Big Ten championship tournament. So, they have a big fight ahead of them to get there, but we'll see what happens.
What's the X factor for these guys?
The X factor was they lost their best player due to an ACL injury, and it kills a team. It kills a locker room, kills practices, kills coaches, it kills everything. But this team showed that they have been playing hard as of late, and they want to make
Tell me
late
one
push.
player who will step up then for Nebraska.
You know, I think it'll be the young center Isaiah Roby. He's very young, still has some developing to do, but if he can get rolling late into March, you know, we call it March Madness for a reason. If Isaiah Roby can get going, you know, I'm not saying they're going to win a national championship, but they're definitely a fun team to watch.
Or are they going to upset somebody just in the Big Ten at least?
I mean, I'm not going to go out here saying they're going to, you know, upset anybody pretty
Right.
soon here, but you know, again, as of late, you just got to watch college basketball.
Well, there you go. That's all the time we have. Nick, congratulations. Thank you all for joining us here in Crunch Time. We'll be back here same time, same place next week.